Okay, so we will start the session. Hello guys, welcome to the NPTEL Week 11 live problem solving session for the course Introduction to Semiconductor Devices, which is being conducted by Professor Naresh Kumar Imani from IIT Hyderabad. I am Soham Lakhote, currently a third year PhD student at ISC Bangalore, and my research area specializes in the analog and RF circuits for radar, especially for vital signs monitoring. So the flow of this session will be like this. So first we will solve few questions on based on the photoconductors and photodiodes. Then we will solve few previous year gate questions, and then I just have one very good numerical for the solar cell. My other TA has covered a lot of numericals for the solar cell, different variety of numericals, so I don't have much left for the solar cell. So I guess we will proceed with the first part of this session, that is the photodiodes and photoconductor based numericals. So coming to the first numerical. So what they have given over here is the photon flux with the intensity 0.1 watt per centimeter square, and the wavelength has been given, and that light is incident on the surface of a silicon, right? Now assume the absorption coefficient of 100 per centimeter, that is, this is the alpha, and this is given at 1 micrometer, right? So now what they are asking, what is the steady state excess carrier concentration per cm cube if the excess minority carrier lifetime is this, right? So you know they want the steady state concentration, right? So for example, they want this delta n or delta p value, right? So now you must have studied from the what you can say in the very initial part of the course, that the excess steady state carrier concentration, right? It is given by what? GL times tau p or tau n, right? This is your steady state carrier concentration, right? And this is what they are asking. And for that they have given the lifetime over here. See, this is the 10 to the power minus 7 seconds, right? The only thing that we don't know right now is the value of GL. So once I get the value of GL, my job is done, right? But now in this week's content, you must have seen that the value of GL can be just a minute. Yeah, you must have seen that the value of GL can be found out using this formula, right? Where alpha is the absorption coefficient. I know the coefficient, right? The IV of X, this is this value. See, they have not given any what you can say, this I of X, they have not given with respect to any X, right? So for example, if we are shining the light, correct? So let's say I am shining the light over here, right? So we always have to assume that this is IV of 0 by default, because they have not mentioned any X over here, right? So we will assume that this is IV of 0 that they have given, and h mu. So what is the value of h mu? We just want the wavelength, right? Even the wavelength has been given to us, right? So now let's calculate the value of GL, right? So GL is what? So let's calculate this value of h mu first. So what is the h mu? So it is nothing but 1.24 divided by lambda in micrometers, right? And that too in EV. This you must have got from the lecture material, right? So this is what? 1.24. Lambda in micrometer is 1, right? So this is what? 1.24 EV, correct? So we got the value of h mu now, right? And this is our formula. Let's say equation number A, right? So now let's calculate the value of GL, right? So alpha is what? 100, right? Into IV of X is what? 0.1 watt per centimeter square. Just be careful with the units. If anywhere they have given the units as meter, by default you have to convert it into centimeters, okay? And the h mu is given as what? 1.24 EV, but this is EV, right? So I have to multiply a factor of Q over here, right? 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19, right? So if you calculate this value, then this value will come out to be around 5.04 into 10 to the power 19 cm to the power minus 3 second inverse, right? So now this is what the value of GL, this is what we are getting, right? Now the main question is the steady state excess carrier concentration. So let's say this is equation number B, right? So from B and 2, right? See, this GL was only the thing that was unknown in the equation number B, right? We have found the GL now. So yeah, so we have found the GL now, right? So now let's substitute it, right? So the delta N is equal to what? Delta P is equal to 5.04 into 10 to the power 19 into what? Into the tau. This is given as 10 to the power minus 7, right? So now if you calculate this, then what is it is gonna come out? So this is just 10 to the power 12, right? 5.04 into 10 to the power 12, right? and units are what? Cm to the power minus 3, correct? So this is the answer that we got, and let's check the options. So this is the closest option that we have. So the last option is correct, and I hope it is clear to you why I have written delta n is equal to delta p, right? So when one photons hit, it generates the electron hole pair, right? It cannot generate a separate electron or separate hole, right? Because there's a valence band and conduction band over there. So if electron jumps from the valence band to the conduction band, then there is a vacancy that is created in the valence band, right? So I hope this question was clear, and it was a pretty easy type of a question. Now next question, yeah, a photodiode has an area 1 centimeter square and is illuminated by a light which is having a wavelength of 780 nanometers, right? And the power density that they have given for this light is 1000 watt per meter square. Sorry, just a minute. Yeah, 1000 watt per meter square, right? This is per meter square, so we have to convert into centimeter square while taking into the numerical, right? And they have given us the open circuit voltage, right? Now what they have asked, what is the reverse saturation current, right? So first of all, I have to find the relation which will relate this open circuit voltage with reverse saturation current, right? And I know the equation, right? We have studied the lecture materials, we have saw the lectures, right? So this is the equation that we have, right? Now let's check everything. This is unknown to me, right? This is what we have to find. VOC is given, VT I know, IL I don't know. Even this is I don't know. Now I want help from you guys. How can I find the value of IL from the given data in the question? The only thing that we have not used is the power density that they have given. So is there any way from which I can relate this power density, the incident power density, with the current that will be generated in the what you can say in the photodiode? Is there any relation like that? Sorry, can you repeat?
Power density equal to VOC into I short.
Power density VOC into I no. What you are saying is the power that will be getting out of the solar cell. This is the incident power, right? Incident power cannot be equal to the output power. This is the incident power that they have given. So just to clear you, have a clear picture. So we are incidenting a light, right? We are incidenting a light. So this power density of this light itself is given as 1000 watts per meter square. And because of this density, there is gonna be a photo generation that will be happening. Like we will be generating electron hole pairs, and because of that, we are gonna get a current, right? So I'm asking that relation. Like I have a light with me whose power density is given to me. Now when I hit this light on top of a diode, right, I'm gonna get electron hole pairs, right? And because of that generated electron hole pairs, I will get a current. Even if I don't do anything, I'm gonna still get that current, right? Because unless until I turn off the light, that current cannot cease to exist. That current will always be there. So I'm asking, so this is that current, right? That IL. So I'm asking the relation between this IL and this density. Just read the question again. A simple, everything is given in the question itself. Any hints? Okay, I will simplify the question for you. I will just give you one hint. How many number of electron hole pairs I will be getting if I am incidenting certain number of photons on my photodiode? I will repeat it again. How many number of electron hole pairs I will be getting if I am incidenting some number of photons on my photodiode? So what relates this quantity? What is the quantity that relates this thing? Number of electron hole pairs generated and the number of photons that I'm incidenting. Is there any quantity that relates these two things? See guys, don't be afraid to give any wrong answers, it's okay. Hello. Hello.
Sir, can you repeat?
Yeah, I'm saying there are certain number of photons that I'm incidenting on my photodiode material, right? Now because of those incident photons, I will be getting certain number of electron hole pairs, right? So the number so the number of photons that I'm incidenting and the number of electron hole pairs that I'm getting. So there is a quantity. So we have studied 3-4 parameters with respect to the photodiode, right? How to characterize the photodiode. There is a
Responsibility.
Responsivity. Yeah, you're pretty much close. It's actually what you can say the quantum efficiency.
And
Sorry.
absorbability factor is also there.
Which factor is
Absorption factor is also there. Absorption factor.
Yeah, absorption factor is there, but what is the definition of this quantum efficiency? It is the same that what I told you, right? The number of electron hole pairs that you get per amount of incident number of incident photons, right? So what is this quantum efficiency? Yeah, correct. And it has been given as 100% in the question, correct? This is given as 100%. And what is the number of electron hole pairs that I will be getting? So if I have a current IL which is being generated because of the electron hole pairs, right? So if I divide it by Q, right, then I will be getting the number of electron hole pairs generated, right? And at the same time, if I want to calculate the number of photons, right, I first have to know the power incident, right? I first have to know the power incident, and then I divide it by the energy of the each photon, right, which is h mu, correct? And this has been given as 100% to me, right? I hope this is clear. This is very important, right? So yeah, correct. So what is this? IL by Q is what? P in upon h mu. And why is it the case? Because the efficiency has been given as 100% to me. So what I can write, IL is what? P in times Q divided by h mu, right? So this Q I can absorb in the h mu itself. So this term will become in the EV, right? Now what is the P in? So P in has been given as 1000 watts per meter square, but my area is in the centimeter square, and everything we have to take it in the centimeter, right? So now I have to multiply it by 10 to the power minus 4 to get the density in watt per centimeter square, and then I have to multiply it with the 1. This is the area, right? 1 cross 1, and I have to get this h mu by Q first, right? So now let's get it. So what will be the value of h mu? It is nothing but 1.24 eV divided by lambda in micrometers, right? Lambda in micrometers. So now let's see what has been given. 1.24 lambda is given as 780 nanometers, right? So I have to divide it by 1000 to convert it into micrometers. So this is what 0.78, right? So if you get it, then what this h mu is gonna come out is I guess around 1.5897 eV. Okay. Now let's put this value over here. Okay. So now if I put it 1.5897, see, I'm just putting this value because this Q over here I have absorbed it in this equation itself, because this is already in the EV, right? So now if you calculate this value, then the IL is going to come out to be 0.0629 amperes. Okay. Now let's check whether we have everything with us now. We have VOC, we have VT, we have IL. Only thing that is remaining is the IS, right? So now okay, yeah. So now what we'll be doing, what is the VOC? VOC is 0.683. This is what? 0.0259, correct? Ln of 1 plus IL we had just calculated, right? 0.0629 upon IS, correct? So now you have to divide this and take the exponential on both the sides, right? So now if you do this, then what you are gonna get is IL by IS. You will be getting around what 2.8355 into 10 to the power 11. So if you calculate, then the IS value is gonna come out to be 0.2218 picoamperes. So let's see which option is matching very closely. So this 0.22, this is what you are seeing, right? So this is the closest answer. So the option number B is the correct answer. So this was the equation number 2 was the trick. Everything else was given. So I hope this question was clear. If you guys have any doubts, then please ask. I will be proceeding ahead with the next question. So now coming to the next question. So what they have given, there is a n-type gallium arsenide sample and the minority carrier lifetime has been given. So the incident photon, each photon has the energy of 1.65 eV, right? And they are generating an excess carrier concentration of dopey is equal to 5 to 10 to the power 15, and that too at the surface of the semiconductor, right? So now they are asking determine the incident power required. So it is just a reverse question. They are just asking to calculate the power, and they have given the everything that we wanted. So what do we know? So first, this excess carrier concentration, right? It is what? GL times tau p, correct? So tau p has been given, dopey has been given, and I will get a GL from over here. And once I get the value of GL, right, then H mu I know, alpha, I guess alpha they have not given. So what we have to do is I keep alpha, let me give you the value of alpha. So alpha you can take around 7 into 10 to the power 3 centimeter to the power minus 1. Okay, so this is the value of alpha and this is given to you. Okay, so we know alpha, we know H mu, we know GL, right? So we can easily calculate the value of IV over here, right? So now let's calculate. So what is the GL? GL will be what? Dopey is equal to 5 into 10 to the power 15 divided by tau p. So tau p is 2 into 10 to the power minus 7, right? So the value of GL that you will be getting, it will be around 2.5 into 10 to the power 22 cm to the power minus 3 second inverse, right? So this is the value of GL that we have. Now what we have to do, we have to substitute it. So let's say this is equation number 1, this is equation number A, right? So from A and 1, right? So what we are going to do, 2.5 into 10 to the power 22 is equal to what? Alpha I have just given you the value, right? It was not given in the question actually. And IV we have to find. See, what is the value of X over here? They have given this excess carrier concentration at the surface, right? So that means X is equal to 0 at the surface, right? Because the carriers, whatever carriers are generated at the surface because of the photo generation, only they are gonna get diffused into the material, right? So this is IV of 0, right? And what is the value of H mu? 1.65 EV. So I have to multiply it with a factor of Q, right? So now if you solve this, then the value of IV of 0 that you are gonna get is what? 0.9428 watts per centimeter square. This is the value of IV of 0. So let me write it as equation number 2 maybe, right? Now, so we have solved the first part of the question, right? Now there is one more part. So what they are asking, at what distance in the semiconductor does the generation rate drop to 10% of that at the surface? Now first of all we have to know why the generation rate will drop, right? So now if you look at the equation number A, this IV of X, right? So what is the IV of X formula? IV of X is what? IV of 0 into e to the power minus alpha times X, right? Where alpha is the absorption coefficient, right? So if I put this, so B, right? So from A and B, if I combine both of them, right, then what is going to happen? GL of X will be what? Alpha by H mu into IV of X. So it is what? IV of 0 into e to the power minus alpha X, right? Hence GL of X will be what? GL of X will be this alpha into IV of 0 by H mu is nothing but generation rate at the surface, right? Into e to the power minus alpha X. So if you look at the equation number C or equation number what you can say, maybe this equation, maybe I will denote it as equation number 3. So from equation 3 and equation C, you can clearly see that as your power density, whatever incident power that you are actually hitting, since it is it decays exponentially inside the semiconductor material, even your generation rate is gonna what you can say, decay in the exponential manner. So now what they are asking us is that keep this GL of x is 10% of this GL of 0, right? So if I write 10 by 100 of GL of 0, correct, and absorption coefficient I know, right, 7 into 10 to the power 3 into x. So now I just have to solve this. What is this? 0.1 is equal to e to the power minus 7 into 10 to the power 3x, right? So we have to just take the ln on both the sides, right? And the moment we do it, then you are going to get your answer. This is the distance at which your generation rate will be dropped to 10% of its value at the surface, right? So its value is gonna come out to be around 3.289 micrometer, right? So this is the answer for question number B. Correct. Just a minute, somebody wants to join. Yeah, correct. So this is the answer for question number B, right? So we have solved this question. If you guys have any doubts, then please proceed ahead. I will be going with the next question because of the less time.
Sir, can you repeat?
Yeah. Okay. Which part you want me to repeat? B or A?
First, A part.
B part or A part? Can you repeat?
A part, sir.
A part. Okay. See, they are asking determine the incident power required, right? So we have to find the incident power, right? So now if you look at this equation number A, you know the equation number A, right? From the lecture material.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, right. So we have to find this IV of x, and since they have given that the excess carriers are generated at the surface, so first of all we have to find the incident power at the surface itself, right? So at the surface means x is equal to 0 over here, right? So we have to find IV of 0. Now to find the IV of 0, I have to know the alpha, h mu and g. Alpha we have already been given, even the h mu has been given to us because h mu is given as 1.65 electron volts, right? Now we just have to find this value of g over here. Now how am I going to find the value of g? See, they have given one extra thing, the excess carrier concentration, right? So this is what you can say the steady state carrier concentration that is generated. And why this concentration will be generated? Because you are shining the light on the material. Because of the shining of the lights, because of the photons, the energy of the photons, what you are gonna get is like you are gonna get the generation of electron and hole pairs, right? And do you remember that conductivity formula, right? Q n mu n into E, something like that, right? You remember this?
Yes, sir.
Now there is a n over here, right? There is a n. So what is gonna happen? This n will be increased by what? It will become n plus delta n over here. And this delta n is contributed because you are actually shining the light, right? And this delta n is nothing but your excess carrier concentration that has been given to you. And we all know from the previous lectures that has been taught at the very initial stages of the course that the excess carrier concentration is nothing but your generation, optical generation rate into the lifetime of those carriers, right? Now this excess carrier concentration has been given to me. See, in this equation number A, I am suffering because I don't know the value of GL. Once I get the value of GL, my job is done, right? Now this tau P they have given to me, dou P, that is the excess carrier concentration they have given. Now I can find the GL value easily from this equation, right? And once I get that value of GL, then I will just put that value of GL in equation number A. Once I get that, then I got the value of IV of 0, and this IV is nothing but your, what you can say, this is a power density, right? Just look at the units, watts per centimeter square, right? This is the light that you are actually hitting on top of the material. Is it clear now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Great. So we will move ahead with the previous year great questions. So now this came in the 2016. So a solar cell illuminated uniformly with the solar light power. Again, the density has been given 100 milliwatts per centimeter square. They have given the area of solar cell. They have given us the fill factor and open circuit voltage as well as the short circuit current, right? Now they are asking is what is the maximum efficiency of this device? What is the maximum efficiency? So first of all, let's write the formula for the efficiency of the solar cell, right? So what is it? This is the maximum power that I can get out of the solar cell upon the incident power that I am hitting on top of the solar cell, right, into 100, correct? And this is what the PM, I can write it as Vm times Im divided by P in into 100, right? Now let's see what we know. Do we know the P in? Of course we know, because it is what? It is 100 milliwatts per centimeter square into the area of the solar cell, right? It is, sorry, just a minute, yeah, into 3 centimeter square, right? So this centimeter square gone. So the P in that you are getting is what? 300 milliwatts. Or simply you can say 0.3 watts, right? This is what you are hitting. So I know the value of P in. I just don't know Vm into Im, right? So just look at the question and please help me in finding the value of Vm times Im. What should I do to find?
VOC,
So yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
sorry, you can write VOC into I short into fill factor.
Exactly, correct. Yeah, very good. So what she suggested means like if we should use this formula. The fill factor is what? Vm into Im upon VOC into ISC, right? So now Vm into Im becomes what? It becomes fill factor into VOC into ISC, right? So fill factor has been given as what? 0.7, right? And what is the value of VOC they have given? It is 0.5, and the short circuit current is what? 180 milliamps, right? Into 10 to the power minus 3. So if I calculate this value of Vm into Im, right, then the Vm into Im that you are gonna get is around 0.063, right? So let me denote this as equation number 2, right? So from 1 and 2, eta will be what? 0.063, right? And the power incident we have already calculated, it is what? 0.3 watts, right? So this is 0.3 into 100, right? So if you just calculate it, it's very simple. It's gonna come out to be around 21%. So this is your final answer, and this was easy question, right? You guys helped me in solving the question. Thank you for that. Now coming to the next question, it came in 2018 GATE exam. Now a solar cell again has been given to us. The area is given. And it is operating at 1 sun intensity. So the unit of the sun intensity is given over here. It's 100 milliwatts per centimeter square, right? Again, the short circuit current has been given to me, and open circuit voltage has been given to me, right? Now they have given the value of Vt. Now what they are asking is that, see, I am giving you the open circuit voltage for this value of the power density, right? Now what I want from you is that calculate the open circuit voltage, but now I am telling you I have changed the intensity of the light that I am hitting on top of the solar cell. I have reduced my power intensity by the factor of 5, because the 1 sun intensity became 0.2 sun intensity over here, right? So now a small hint has been given to us, like assume the reverse saturation current is constant in both the cases and the short circuit current is proportional to the intensity. So first let's check the validity of this hint, right? We know from the formula of quantum efficiency that it is what? IL by Q upon P in by H mu, right? So IL, I can write it as what? P in eta times P in by H mu into Q. This is the power density that they have given, right? 1 sun intensity, 0.2 sun intensity. As you can see, my IL is directly proportional to the P in, right? So whatever hint they have given, that is the short circuit current is proportional to the intensity. So this validation is correct. We have validated it, that this assumption is correct. So now what we can do, it is just like if I have IL1 and IL2, right? If I just divide it, then their ratio is gonna come out to be P in 1 by P in 2, right? So this is what the proportionality means, right? Now again, what we are gonna do, we are gonna use this equation first, right? So let's do it. So VOC at the particular sun intensity, right? 1 sun intensity. So I will write P in is equal to 1 over here, right? This is sun intensity. I will write sun also. Okay. So the Vt is what? 0.0259 into ln of 1 plus IL. I cannot directly calculate because these factors have not been given to me. The eta and even the this H mu has been not given to me. So IL upon IS we have to keep it as it is, because nothing has been given to me. We can only write it as IL upon IL at P in is equal to 1 sun intensity, right? So let's say this is equation number 1. Now similarly we will write open circuit voltage for what you can say the second case, right? This has been given, see, let me write it. This has been given as what? Open circuit voltage is 0.65, right? So this is equation number 1. Now VOC at P in is equal to 0.2 sun, right, is equal to 0.0259 times ln of 1 plus IL at P in is equal to 0.2 sun divided by IS. IS won't be changing because they have given in the question assume same saturation current, right? Now this is the equation number 2. Now just look at this equation number 3 that we have written. IL1 upon IL2 is P in 1 by P in 2, right? So the IL1, so that is IL when P in was 1 sun, right, upon IL when P in is equal to 0.2 sun, right? So it is what? 1 upon 0.2, right? So I can clearly write that IL when P in is equal to 1 sun is what? 5 times of IL that I will be getting when P in is equal to 0.2 sun, right? So this is the equation that I will be putting using now. So let me denote is at equation number 4, right? So what we are going to do, we have the relations with us, right? The relations are what you can say, the equation number 4 is given. The relation between IL of when P in was 1 sun and P in was 0.2 sun has been given to us, right? So now what we are gonna do is that we are just gonna do some manipulation over here, and we have to anyhow find this value, right? So now let me do this thing. So what we are gonna do is like let me put it over here itself, 0.0259 into ln of, so I will just replace this 0.2 sun with P in is equal to 1 sun over here, right, using the equation number 4 that I have been given. So IL of P in is equal to 0.2 sun is what? It will be 1.5, 0.2 into IL at P in is equal to 1 sun, right, divided by IS, correct? So now this equation number 1 is there, and equation number, let's say this is 5. So I'm talking about these two equations. So you can see this is the equation number 5 and this is the equation number 1, right? And generally this factor, right, the factor that you are seeing over here, this factor is generally very huge compared to the value of 1. So because why I am saying this, because your saturation current will be in some picoamperes and your this IL that you are seeing now, it will be in some milliamperes. So it is the very 10 to the power 8 or 10 to the power 9 orders, which is very greater than 1. So what we are going to do again, we will simplify this equation number 1. So from 1, what we are going to do over here is that VOC at P is equal to 1 sun is equal to what? 0.0259 times ln of, you got this, right? So what is this? IL by IS, P is equal to 1 sun, right? And similarly for the equation number 5, just a minute, something happened. Okay, yeah. Oh, what is happening? Okay, yeah. Just a minute, guys. Yeah. From 5, right, VOC at P is equal to 0.2 sun is what? 0.0259 times ln of what? I have already known the equation number 5, 0.2 times, right, into IL P is equal to 1 sun by IS, right? So now I don't know this, but I can split the terms inside. There is a multiplication factor, right? 0.0259 times ln of 0.2 plus 0.0259 times ln of IL when P is equal to 1 sun divided by IS, right? Now I want you to compare this term and this term. They are exactly same, right? See this, correct? And this is what they are asking. Yeah, sorry, VOC at what? P is equal to 0.2 suns, right? So now this term I already know because it is given to me as 0.65. So your answer will just come out to be 0.0259 times ln of 0.2 plus 0.65, right? And the moment you calculate this answer, then you are gonna get it at around 0.608 volts. And why it will be less than 0.65? Because you have ln 0.2 over here, so this will be negative term over here, right? So this is the open circuit voltage when the intensity is 0.2 sun, right? So this is the answer. I hope the question was clear. If you guys have any doubts, then please ask me, or else we will move ahead. The only approximation that I had made over here is that I have ignored the 1 over here. And if you guys have any doubts, then go to one of my previous questions that I had solved and just look at the magnitude of IL and IS over here. So if you just want me to check it, then let me go back myself. Let me check it. Where was that IS numerical? Yeah, see, the saturation current in picoamperes was there. It was 0.22 picoamperes, right? And IL was around how much? 0.0629. So it's around 62 milliamperes, and this is 0.22 picoamperes. So there is a huge difference over here, and you can easily ignore this factor of 1 actually. So that is what exactly I have done over here, and I hope the question was clear. I will move ahead with the next question. Now this question came in 2019 gate. A germanium sample of dimension 1 centimeter square area is illuminated with 20 milliwatt. This is your power density. This is your power actually. This is not power density. And lambda is 600 nanometer, right? And from laser light source as shown in the figure, the illuminated sample surface has 100 nanometers of lossless silicon dioxide layer, right? So what does this mean by lossless? So the lossless means it will not absorb anything. So whatever will come, it will just pass it as it is. This is what the lossless means, right? So first of all, what is happening? The light is shining from the top, right? First of all, it will hit the silicon oxide interface, right? It will hit the silicon oxide surface, and when it reaches the silicon oxide surface, the surface itself is reflecting 1/4 of the incident light, right? So now from the remaining light, 1/3 of the power is reflected from the silicon oxide germanium interface. So okay, let me do one thing. Let me just draw a easy diagram over here. So how much the 20 milliwatts was coming from here, right? Now what they have given to me is that your 1/4 of power will be reflected the moment you hit the SiO2 surface. This is the surface, right? This is SiO2, this is germanium, right? So now what you can see is 20 into 1 by 4 milliwatts will be reflected back, right? So the effective power that I actually have over here is what? 20 milliwatts into 3 by 4. And since this is a lossless, right? This is lossless, it will pass this power as it is, right? So the moment I reach over here, I still have 20 milliwatts into 3 by 4, right? But again, there is some non-ideality. So from what is happening, from the remaining light, 1/3 of the power is reflected from the silicon dioxide and germanium interface itself, right? So that means this was the power that I had when it entered into the silicon dioxide and germanium interface over here, right? Of this power, 1/3 is going away. See, this 1/3 power went away. So the effective transmission that I will be having from the interface to the germanium is that it's 20 into 3 by 4, 1/3 reflected, right? So that means 2/3 must have passed the interface, right? So this is the power that I just had at x equal to 0 of the germanium. And let me see again, the germanium had some length over here, right? Let me see as x is equal to L. Let me write it as x equal to L. Now out of this power that has been passed through the out of this power that has been passed through the interface, right, 1/3 is absorbed by the germanium layer and 1/3 is transmitted through the other side of the sample. So what does this mean? The power that I'm actually getting out of the germanium is 20 into 3 by 4 into 1 by 3. See, this was the power that I had, right? This was the power. 1/3 got reflected, right? So whatever I have left now, out of that 1/3 got absorbed in the germanium, and the remaining part got out of the sample. So you can see, like, whatever power I have over here, 1/3 got reflected, right? So 2/3 part remained. Out of that 2/3, 1/3 got absorbed in the germanium and 1/3 part got transmitted through the germanium sample, right? Now what they have asked is like, okay, they have given the band gap and they have given the absorption coefficient, right? So they are asking me the thickness of the germanium layer rounded off to 3 decimal places, right? So we know the formula, right? What is I of x? I of x is I naught into e to the power minus alpha x, right? The only confusion over here why we did this exercise, because we wanted to know, okay, if this is where x equal to 0, this is where my germanium sample is, right? How much power I am having at this, how much power is there at x equal to 0 over here. See, this is an interface, right? We had never encountered this type of numerical, right? This is the interface, and what you can see, this is x equal to 0. Let me denote left side as x is equal to 0 minus, and this side as x is equal to 0 plus. So what we always assumed in this formula was that whatever incident power I have at the germanium, right? So it will decay exponentially, but this equation does not take into account the reflections that may happen at this interface, because on the left I have SiO2 and on the right I have germanium, right? So there is a discontinuity between the materials over here, so some power is gonna get reflected, and this is what they have given in the question. So what I want to tell you guys is that the power at x is equal to 0 plus, that is just on the right side of the interface. I have to calculate this value, and then and only then I can use this formula. If you tell me that the whatever power I am getting from SiO2 to the germanium, right, if I use that power as my I naught, then this is not going to be correct, because this formula is not taking into the account any reflections that will happen from the interface. So the best way to solve this question is just to calculate this value of I naught just on the right hand side of this boundary x is equal to 0, right? And we have calculated it. We have calculated as 20 into 3 by 4 into 2 by 3, right? So now we have this I naught as what? 20 into 3 by 4 into 2 by 3, right? And what it is asking, the thickness of the germanium layer, right? So if I put x as my thickness, then that means I want to get the power that is getting out of the germanium material. What is the power that is getting out of the germanium material? We have calculated that power too, right? We know this, right? What is 20 into 3 by 4 into 1 by 3, right? We also know the power that is present just at the right of the silicon oxide and germanium boundary, which is inside the germanium, right? We already know this. This is 20 into 3 by 4 into 2 by 3 into e to the power, alpha has been given to me, right? Minus 3 into 10 to the power 4 into x, right? So if you just cancel the terms, 23 by 4, 23 by 4 will be cancelled. Even this 3 and 3 will be getting cancelled. So what you will be left with is 0.5 is equal to e to the power minus 3 into 10 to the power 4 into x, right? So this is the equation number 2, and the moment you solve this, then the value of x you will be getting is around 0.231 micrometer. So this is the thickness of the germanium material that we will be having, and the only trick in this question was they wanted us to calculate the power that is present just on the right side of the germanium silicon oxide interface. So if you had taken the power which is coming just into the germanium without taking into account the reflection, you would have got the wrong answer. Guys, is this question clear? I know, because this may be a little bit tricky. If you guys have any doubts, I will explain this question again.
No, explain it again briefly, sir.
Okay, sure. See, what is given is to us is like a 20 milliwatts of power is there. That 20 milliwatts is actually hitting this material, this composite material, you can say, right? Now, what they are asking is the thickness of the germanium material. So my job is, we know this formula, only this formula is there with us, right? We know this formula, but we have to see what is there in the formula it first. So first we know this is the power that is just at the surface of the semiconductor material, this I naught, right? At the surface, right? At surface, correct? And this is at distance of x from the surface, right? So this power density is gonna decay exponentially. This is the thing that we know. Now what we want first, we want the power which is at the surface of the germanium when the germanium material is just beginning. So if you consider this part as x equal to 0, then this will become what? This will become your x is equal to 100 nanometer. because this is a thickness of silicon oxide dioxide that has been given to me. I want to find my I naught at this value. You cannot take the I naught at the silicon dioxide and calculate the thickness of the germanium, because that will be wrong, right? You have to take the power at the interface and then you have to take the power which is coming out of the germanium. Now only using this case you will be getting the answer of the X, right? So to calculate the power that is getting transmitted from the interface of silicon dioxide and germanium into the germanium, we have to do all these things, right? We have to do how much of this 20 milliwatts is actually being transmitted from the interface into the germanium, right? Now so let's start again. So we have the 20 milliwatts with us. They have given that 1/4 will be reflected back. So we know 3/4 power of this 20 milliwatt will be getting the transmitted through the silicon dioxide, right? Why? Because the silicon dioxide, just a minute, yeah. So the 3/4 power will be getting transmitted through silicon dioxide, right? Why? Because it is a lossless material. Now this same power will be reaching the interface, right? Now this interface is causing an issue because there is one more reflection happening at the interface actually. So now whatever power I have, now out of this power 1/3 is again getting reflected. So that means if 1/3 is getting reflected, then 2/3 of the power is getting transmitted from the interface, right? So now this 2/3 power of this 20 into 3/4, right? This is the power, what you can say, at x is equal to 0 plus. And what is this 0 plus? 0 plus is just on the right side of the germanium. And why I have taken at the right side of the germanium? Because this equation that you are seeing over here, it doesn't take into the account reflections that may happen when the light is actually incident. So if you open the Donald Niemann or maybe Sir's lecture material, he must have taken there is reflections at the surface of the material have assumed to be 0. So there is no reflection. So but over here the reflection has been given to me. And the reflections magnitude has also been given to me, that 1/3 of the power is getting reflected. So I know what is gonna get transmitted. So that's why I have taken what is the power just at the right side of the germanium silicon oxide interface, and this is what I will treat it as I of 0. And the moment I have this, then my problem is solved now, because I have calculated everything that I require to use this equation. Right? So that's why we always suggest ki like somebody had asked me a very good question, like somebody had questioned the assumption itself in the PN junction, why there is no recombination in the depletion that happens. So that's why we always encourage just question the assumptions, right? So if you had not known the assumption that has been made in this equation, you would have directly taken the power that is actually getting hitted on this interface. You would not have taken into the account that the reflections are also happening over here. So this equation doesn't account the reflections that are happening at the interface. So that's why we have to calculate the power at x equal to 0 plus. And just solve this, just put this value in the I naught, and the thickness you will get when you calculate the power that is getting transmitted through the other end of the germanium. Even we know that power actually. And that power you just substitute at I of x, you will get the thickness of the germanium. Is it clear?
Yes, sir. Thank you,
Okay.
sir.
Okay, thank you. Now, I guess, yeah, I will just quickly do it because we don't have a lot of time. Okay, so now this is our last numerical for the today. So what they have, again it is taken from the exercise problems of the Donald Niemann. So a long silicon PN junction solar cell is there, a temperature has been given, and the doping parameters have been given, the lifetime of the carriers have been given to me, and the diffusion coefficients have been given to me. Even the area of the solar cell has been given to me, right? And they have told me over here that the generated photocurrent, we are giving the value to you, it is 120 milliamperes, right? Now what they are asking is to first determine the open circuit voltage, right? So now I have written some formula over here, right? So let me denote this as equation number 1, right? So now let's check what we need for calculating the VOC. I know the VT, right? I know the IL because it has been given in the question. I just don't know the IS. How can I calculate the IS? IS is what? Your saturation current, right? Your saturation current, right, in reverse bias, correct? So now how do you calculate the value of IS? You remember this is a silicon PN junction, it is a PN junction diode again, it is a PN junction, right? So the what you can say, you can use the same equation to calculate the IS over here. So how are we gonna calculate the value of is? Then the is, the equation of the is is what? It is nothing but js by a, right? So if I no, wait, this is wrong. Js is is by a, right? And what we can write it as, js is given as what? It is given as q times ni square into dn upon ln times na plus dp upon lp times nd. I hope you guys remember this equation. If you guys have forgotten this equation, then please go back to the lecture materials of the PN junction diode. So let's check everything. The thing in this equation I don't know is the value of ln and lp, right? But I know one thing. ln is what? Root of dn times tau n, and lp is what? Root of dp times tau p, right? So let's substitute it. So what is the value of dn? 25, and the value of tau n is what? 10 to the power minus 6. So it will come out to be 5 into 10 to the power minus 3, right? And over here, if you look, then the root of dp into tau p is there. So dp is what? 10. What is the value of tau p? 5 into 10 to the power minus 7. So it will come out to be around 2.25 into 10 to the power minus 3. It will come in centimeters. Yeah. So now coming to the part, we have found the value of ln, lp. Ni is known to us, right? 1.5 into 10 to the power 10. So let's calculate the value of js first, right? So let me denote this as equation number 2, right? Hence the value of js is what? 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19, right? Into ni square. Ni square is what? 1.5 into 10 to the power 10 the whole square, right? And just a minute. Yeah, value of dn is what? 25. Upon ln we have calculated 5 into 10 to the power minus 3, right, into the concentration value of na. Na is given as 10 to the power 16, right? Now again we have to calculate dp is what? Dp is 10, and lp is this value 2.25 into 10 to the power minus 3. Then upon 2.25 into 10 to the power minus 3, right? And what is the value of this concentration nd? Nd we know, nd is 10 to the power 15, right? So now if you just calculate the value of what you can say js from over here, let me do one thing. Let me make it as is, and I will make it multiply by the area also. See, this area has been given to me. The area has been what? 5 centimeters, right? So it has been given as 5. Now what will be the value of is? If you calculate the value of is, then the is is gonna come out to be 8.9717 into 10 to the power minus 10 amperes. So this is the value of is that I have got, right? So now let me denote it as equation number 3 maybe. Correct? See, this is what we wanted. We started with the equation number 1. We first check what has been given to us. We know IL has been given, VT has been given. We only wanted to find the value of IS. We have found the value of IS. Now let's substitute everything in the equation number 1, right? Put 3 in 1, right? What is the value of VOC? VT is what? 0.0259, right? Into ln of 1 plus IL. IL has been given as what? 120 milliamperes has been given to me. So 120 milliamperes divided by the IS. IS we have just calculated, right? Into 10 to the power minus 10. So this will be the open circuit voltage. And if you calculate the value of this, then it will be coming around 0.4846 volts. Right? So this is the value of open circuit voltage that they had asked. Now the next question, what they are asking, the voltage across the junction that will produce a total solar cell current of I is equal to 100 milliamperes. See, what happens in the solar cell is like, let's say, okay, let me write it like that. You have a solar cell, right? Then you have a load resistor, right? You have the light coming over here, correct? Now, because of this, what is going to happen? Some voltage is going to get generated across this diode, this PN junction, and that voltage is going to forward. That voltage will be dropping across over here, right? And now whatever voltage that will be dropped, because of that you are going to get a forward bias current. Now we know that there is already, because of the light, there is some what you can say dark current, right? That current is already present, but the moment this what you can say, the polarity of the voltage across the resistor comes, the voltage that drops across the resistor, it is gonna forward bias this PN junction, and you are gonna having the two opposite currents. One is the forward bias current that you have, and right, and one is the current that is generated because of the incident light, right? Now we want the total current in the solar cell, right? Now, so what you are gonna do is like you are gonna just subtract this current, because these two currents are in the opposite direction. One is coming on the, what you can say, one is flowing in the N to P side, and another current is flowing from P to N side. So that's why you are subtracting this current, and this is the equation for the total current of the solar cell, right? This has, you can again get this equation from Donald Newman or Sir's lecture material. Now we are gonna use this equation now, right? Now let's check, do we know everything or not? So they are asking the voltage across the junction that will produce a total solar current of 100 milliamperes, right? So now let me write that equation. So this part is done, right? I is what? Let me see the equation. I is what? IL minus IS times exponential of Q V by KT minus 1, right? So now this has been given as 100 milliamperes, I guess, right? This has been given as 100 milliamperes. IL has been also given to us 120 milliamperes, right? See, you do anything, you change the voltage or you do anything, unless and until you change the intensity of light, you are not gonna change the value of IL, right? IS we have just calculated, right? IS we have calculated over here. Now the only thing that remains unknown is the value of V, right? This is the V that is getting applied across the diode. This is what you can say. So this is the exact thing that they are asking, the voltage across the junction that will produce this current, right? So now we will put everything. So now this will become what? Minus 20 milliamperes into 10 to the power minus 3 is equal to minus of IS we have already calculated, 9717 into 10 to the power minus 10 into exponential of, right, this KT by Q value we know, VD upon 0.0259 minus 1, right? So we just have to solve this equation, and the moment you solve this equation, you are gonna get the value of VD as 0.438 volts. So this is the voltage that will be producing a total 100 milliamperes of current, out of which 120 milliamperes will be IL, and another current will be flowing through this, what you can say, this is the equation of the forward bias current of the PN junction diode, right? So this is the voltage that you have to apply. Now the last part is pretty interesting. They are asking us to calculate the maximum power output of the solar cell. So now what we have to do, so you know this curve, right? I will just draw one curve. You have V, you have I over here, and this is the curve for the solar cell, right? This is your short circuit current, and this is your open circuit voltage, right? And now you must have seen that there is one particular point over here, right? There is one particular point, we call it as maximum power point, right? And they are actually asking us to calculate the maximum power corresponding to this point. Now again, from the lecture material, if you calculate, now what we generally do, see what we do, we write the expression for P is what Vm times Im, right? And we do dP by dV is equal to 0, right? The moment you do this, so what you are gonna get, you are gonna get this type of equation, this equation that I am highlighting over here. So this is the equation, and the moment you solve this equation, you are gonna get the Vm, that point I told you, right? So let me denote the coordinates of this point. The coordinates are Vm comma Im. So now if I want to actually calculate the values of Vm and Im, because they are asking to calculate the maximum power, right? So you know what is the maximum power? It is nothing but Vm times Im. So I don't have any choice, but I have to find the values of Vm and Im actually, right? So now how am I going to find it? I am going to use this equation. This equation has came after differentiating the power expression with respect to V and equating it to 0, right? So now let me use this equation. So what is the equation? Let me write it. 1 plus Vm by Vt into exponential of what? Exponential of Qvm by Kt. Qvm by Kt is equal to 1 plus IL by IS, right? Now I have to get the value of Vm over here. I know the value of IL, right? IL has been given to me as what? 120 milliamperes, right? The IS we have calculated, right? VT we know, the only thing that is unknown is value of VM, right? So now let me write it. 1 plus VM by VT is what? 0.0259, correct? Exponential of VM by 0.0259 is equal to what? 1 plus 120 into 10 to the power minus 3 divided by the value of IS. IS is 8.97 into 10 to the power minus 10. So this is what I am getting over here, and if you just calculate this value, then it is gonna come out to be around 1.3375 into 10 to the power 8. I am talking about the RHS, okay? Now there is one pretty interesting thing. This term is common, right? So let x is equal to Vm upon 0.0259. Correct? So now the equation will become 1 plus x into e to the power x is equal to 1.3375 into 10 to the power 8. Now this equation is tricky to solve by hand. So if you want to solve by hand, then you have to apply some numerical methods, right? You have to apply some numerical method. For example, you can use Newton-Raphson, right? So this is one way. This is method number 1. Or method number 2, what you can do is that since you will be having calculators with you, right? So you can just put this equation and use the calculator, the scientific calculator. It will give you the solution. So now currently I am not going to solve this equation using Newton-Raphson because it is going to take a lot of time. It may be a homework for you that you can try to solve this using Newton-Raphson method. Now coming to the entering this equation into the calculator, you will directly getting the solution, and that solution will come out to be x is equal to 15.885. But what is my x? This is my Vm upon 0.0259. Correct? So now what is the value of Vm that I got? So the value of Vm that I will be getting is 0.411 volts. This is the value of Vm that I got, right? Now coming to how to get the value of Im, right? So you have to use this what you can say, this total current equation, this equation that you are seeing, right? You have to use it. So what we can do, I is what? IL minus IS, I am writing M over here, into exponential of Q Vm by Kt minus 1, right? So I know the value of Vm, I know Kt by Q, I know the value of IL. IL is what? 120 milliamperes, and IS I have already calculated, 8.97 into 10 to the power minus 10, right? So the moment you substitute the value of Vm, right, value of Vm in this equation, you are gonna get the value of Im. So what will be the value of Im? The value of Im is gonna come out to be 112.89 milliamperes. So we have actually found out the point where we are gonna get the maximum power out of the solar cell. And how, what is that power? So that power is what? Vm times Im, correct? And so if you just multiply both these terms, then this power is gonna come out to be 46.399 milliwatts, correct? Right? Now last question is pretty interesting. They are asking the external load resistance that will produce the maximum power, right? So now what they are asking is like, okay, you have the solar cell with you, you have calculated how much maximum power it can get, but I want to connect a load resistor across it, right? So now see how this curve got generated, right? So you kept on varying the RL. So you had the solar cell, so let's say you had solar cell and you had the resistor with you, right? And you kept on what you can say, varying the value of resistor. So when the resistor was 0, you got the short circuit point, the short circuit current, and the resistor was infinity, you got this open circuit voltage, right? So by varying this resistor itself, you are getting this curve over here, right? So now what they are asking, you have to what you can say, you have to find the optimum value of the load resistor such that the maximum power transfer will happen from the solar cell, right? So if you look at this point, I got the value of Vm, I got the value of Im, right? So now until and unless the resistance matches, right? So you know the maximum power transfer theorem, right? The source resistance, right? It should be equal to the source resistance and the load resistance are there. So let me write it. So you have the V voltage, right? Vs, you have Rs, and you have RL, right? So until and unless you do Rs is equal to RL, you are not gonna have the maximum power to be transferred to the load, right? So now what we are doing over here, we just want to find the value of RL over here, right? So now you can consider this solar cell as a source that is giving the power, right? This is what we have been studying, like the solar cell accepts the light energy and it gives you the electricity, right? So so now what you can do is like you have to find the value of RL. So now if I look at this particular point, there is a Vm over here and there is a Im over here, right? So this load resistance, when you put it as Vm upon Im, right? So you can consider this as what you can say, this is the condition for the maximum power transfer to happen from the solar cell to the load resistor. So if you calculate this ratio, that is 0.411 divided by 112.9 milliamperes, right? So then this load resistor value is gonna come out to be 3.64 ohms. So what does this mean is like if first you calculated the operating point where you can get the maximum power out of the solar cell, and now they are asking you to what load resistor I should connect to the solar cell so that this maximum power transfer can happen. Now we use the maximum power transfer theorem and we calculated, okay, the value of the load resistor should be matching to what you can say the Vm upon Im, and the moment that happens, then the maximum power transfer will happen. So this is the value 3.64 ohms. When you connect this load resistor, then the maximum power will be transferred from the solar cell to the load resistor. So this was the last question. Maybe the last part was tricky, I don't know. If you guys have any doubts, then please ask. This was the last question for today. Guys, any doubts?
What was the homework, sir? You were saying at the time my network was lost.
The homework. The homework part. Wait. Yeah, the homework I was telling you about the Newton-Raphson method. See, I have an equation, right? This equation 1 plus x into e to the power x. You cannot solve this equation by hand, right? It's difficult. It's not a quadratic or linear equation. So I was just telling that there are two ways. You can directly use the calculator, but if this type of problem comes in the exam, or if the calculator is not allowed, then you have to use some numerical method like Newton-Raphson or something to solve this equation by hand. So there are multiple iterations that will be happening. So maybe after third or fourth iteration, you will be getting the answer.
Right?
Okay, sure. Okay, so are there any other doubts in any of the questions that we have solved today? If no doubts, then we will close the session. Last chance to ask the doubts because we have already exceeded the time by 17 minutes.
No doubt, sir. Thank you, sir.
No doubts? Okay. Yeah, we will close the session, guys. Thank you for attending one more session and sorry for ruining your another Sunday. Have a great evening ahead. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.